Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come.
Tell us, when will these things be, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
Here's today's prophecy update. Would you like to have your own private number that you could use for everything? You could file your taxes, deposit money, receive government benefits, pay your bills, virtually everything. Do you think you might like that? Well, the government would certainly like that too. It would give the government total surveillance of everything you do. Do you think a system like this would be impossible? The truth is that a system just like this is being set up in India right now. One more thing. The World Bank is praising India's system, saying it should be adopted worldwide. Worldwide surveillance, just what I always wanted. We'll tell you all about it today on this edition of End of the Age. All of you know by now that there's a prophecy in the Bible that a time will come when every person will have a number without which they will not be able to buy or sell. And these articles I've read recently seem hauntingly similar to what I read from the prophecies of the Bible penned about 2,000 years ago. Let me take you to the first article. It is entitled, World's Biggest Biometric Database Grows in India. This comes from Bloomberg on December the 3rd of 2017. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is pushing Indians to link their digital IDs to a host of services such as credit cards, cell phones, even as the Supreme Court will decide on Friday the scope of the world's largest biometric database. Almost 1 billion people had signed up for the program before a landmark privacy ruling in August strengthened the case against making the Aadhaar ID mandatory. The court will now decide on the validity of the government's order to meet specified deadlines. Last month, it told banks and utilities to stop scaring customers after people complained about a barrage of emails and text messages warning of frozen accounts and invalidated SIM cards if they failed to comply with the government's push. Now, to be sure, the court's immediate hearing will only pertain to the deadlines, with a more detailed arguments on overall legality probably next year. While officials say Aadhaar is saving the government billions of dollars by better targeting beneficiaries of subsidized food and cash transfers, critics point to unfair exclusions and data leaks. Aadhaar is a unique 12-digit number assigned to Indian residents backed by their fingerprints, iris scans, and certain demographic details. Some lawyers and activists, such as Shyam Davan, say that once linked to various services, it will offer the government a web of information about each individual that will violate the person's privacy. The Aadhaar Act purports to provide legal sanctions to a program that lays the framework for real-time surveillance of every Indian, Davan said. Indians are mandated to link their Aadhaar to government-issued permanent account numbers, which help track tax filings, bank accounts, credit cards, insurance policies, mutual funds, pension plans, social welfare benefits such as cooking gas, subsidies, mobile numbers. Enrollments to Adhar have increased by about 80 million over the past year, roughly the entire population of Germany, as pressure built on citizens to either link or forfeit their services. Modi had rejected Adhar while in opposition, terming it as a threat to national security. However, he has since embraced and extended its scope far beyond what was envisioned earlier, now that he has been elected. The program is also plagued by allegations of data leaks, where personal details of users were made public on government websites. The Unique Identification Authority of India, which administers Adhar, has denied database vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, newspapers continue to carry reports about poor or disabled Indians, such as leprosy patients who are denied food and pensions because they either lack an Adhar number or the fingerprints and iris scans needed to apply for one. Now, when we get back, we're going to tell you more. Plus, we're going to tell you about the World Bank wanting to adopt this as a worldwide program. Will it ever come to America? Well, we'll answer that question too. It's going to be so very interesting.
Turn your scriptures from black and white into color. Experience the footsteps of Jesus. Understand Bible prophecy that is coming to pass right now. Join Irvin and Judy Baxter and the End Time team this spring 2018 for a life-changing trip to Israel and Jordan. Mark your calendar for April 26th through May 11th for this amazing journey. Call 1-800-ENDTIME, that's 1-800-363-8463, and press 2, or go to endtime.com/Israel-tour to receive your information today.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, the new book by Irvin's grandson, provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your connection to God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at End Time will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Order this brand new book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
We got married in 2003. We clashed immediately. Everything seemed to be going wrong. We started following End Time Ministries, and we started going to End Time Bible studies.
About our life's never been the same. It's just been so powerful and so great, and God has done such a mighty work that saved my life, and it saved my soul for eternity.
God did use this ministry to literally bring us to Him and make the old man pass away and the new man come to life.
Thank you for giving to End Time Ministries.
Offering hope to people like us.
Okay, I'll admit it. I love technology. I've had a laptop computer almost since they came out. I've had the cell phone. I love all the conveniences. At the same time, I've always known there were dangers lurking in the shadows of this new digital age. Plus, from the time I was a child, I've heard about the mark of the beast, the prediction in the Bible that they would come when everybody would have a mark or a number without which they could not buy or sell. And of course, when I was a child, that seemed like science fiction because it was technologically absolutely impossible. Well, then comes along the computer and still it was like impossible. But after a while, technology picked up pace, and now then you can have a phone on your wrist that will do more than a huge room-filling computer would do 50 years ago. So everything has changed so dramatically. Now they're telling us that there can be a database that would absolutely keep track of every person on earth. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. Now, India's ID program has won the World Bank's praise despite Big Brother fears. Here's a little bit of what the World Bank had to say. A new internet is being built. It has 1.1 billion users, a third of the World Wide Web. Indian banks are running transactions on it, and Microsoft has embedded it into Skype. The Biometric Identifier Program, Aadhaar, or Foundation is what Aadhaar means in Hindi, has taken on a life of its own, authenticating loans and job seekers, pensions, and money transfers across India. And last week's landslide state election win could embolden Prime Minister Narendra Modi to push Aadhaar beyond its early cost-saving goal, even as questions are raised about the security of its data and the proliferation of private companies seeking to profit from the information it stores. Other countries are also looking at similar programs, but research shows it's best to develop one standardized system so people can carry their IDs wherever they go in the world, said Paul Romer, chief economist at the World Bank. The system in India is the most sophisticated that I've ever seen, Romer said. It's the basis for all kinds of connections that involve things like financial transactions. It could be good for the world if this became widely adopted. Identification is the first the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now listen to that close. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are their plan to move all of us into a one world government. So the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals aim to provide legal IDs to all people by 2030. No wonder they like Aadhaar. This would then trigger the creation of a range of platforms that offer basic rights to citizens of poor countries while allowing those in the advanced world granular control over their digital data, such as school or medical records, and streamlining immigration. Fingerprints, iris scans. Now, the Bible says that when the mark of the beast comes, that it will either be on your hand or your forehead, in your hand or in your forehead. Now, fingerprints and eye scans are the two most popular biometric means of identification. And as I learn about this, I think, wait a minute, my fingerprints is on my hand, my eyes are in my forehead. Does this relate to this 2,000-year-old prophecy? Well, let's learn a little bit more about it. An ambitious government-run project, just like the internet at the time of its creation decades ago, Aadhaar began in 2009 to target payments to the poor across India's vast hinterland. Other governments are already interested in its potential. Countries such as Tanzania, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh have visited India to talk about the system, said Nandan Nalkani, billionaire co-founder of the technology company Infosys and former chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India, who created Aadhaar. Russia, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia have also indicated their interest in Aadhaar. They're all keen to see how they can replicate this in their countries. Niall Connie said by phone, "This is a great example of how governments can build the most modern digital public infrastructure and make it available as a public good to everybody. You know, when I hear that term public good, I immediately am a little startled because I know that socialism is built on the common good. And a number system like this would be the perfect vehicle for administering worldwide socialism. That's the reason it alarms me. In its World Development Report of 2016, the World Bank said a digital identification system such as India's Aadhaar, by overcoming complex information problems, helps willing governments to promote the inclusion of disadvantaged groups. Here's how it works. A unique 12-digit number is assigned to Indian residents backed by biometrics, including your fingerprints, your eye scan, stored in a central database. If an individual wants to open a bank account or buy a mobile SIM card, they need to provide their Aadhaar number and place their finger on a scanner. This action permits the bank or utility to ask the Aadhaar database to verify their credentials. About 99% of adult Indians hold an Aadhaar ID that links to some 84 government services, which will soon include the whole of India's food distribution system, the world's biggest welfare program. The Aadhaar is saving Modi's administration about $2 billion a year, and this could rise to $7 billion by March of 2018, or 0.35% of gross domestic product, according to research firm CLSA. The private sector is also benefiting from Aadhaar. Reliance Jio Infocom, controlled by India's richest man, Mukesh Ambani, sold 100 million SIM cards in 6 months, or about 7 each second, by using this system to verify customers' IDs, while Google is in talks with the government to use Aadhaar. Now, are you noticing that we've got Microsoft, we've got Google, all the big technology players, they're all looking with fascination at Aadhaar. Smaller companies are creating blood donation registries based on it, and people can withdraw money or make cashless transactions. Don't need any money. Using Aadhaar without needing a secret code or even a card. India is upgrading hardware to ensure the Aadhaar can carry out 100 million authentications per day. Lawmakers were told last week. Microsoft Corporation in February created a lightweight version of Skype for Indians who can use Aadhaar to identify themselves. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what are you thinking right now? If you're thinking what I'm thinking, you're thinking Big Brother. Remember that book, 1984, where Big Brother watched everything you did, monitored everything you did? There were screens in every room. You even had to get up and exercise, or else the screen would scream at you. And if you still didn't obey, someone would be knocking on your door. I mean, this was a vision of George Orwell in 1948. And it almost looks like 1984, which is the name of the book. That's how soon he thought it would come. Well, it hasn't quite made it that quickly, but it's coming. Okay. So for all of its potential, Aadhaar has also been criticized as enabling the creation of a Big Brother surveillance state. Indeed, Modi opposed Aadhaar before coming to power, saying it violated national security and the privacy of citizens. Now, he counts it as a key part of his push to move India towards cashless transactions and save money on the payment of Social Security benefits. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if this hasn't taken your breath away yet, let's pause and talk about it from a biblical perspective. I've been studying Bible prophecy for over 50 years now, and I've seen many prophecies come to pass so accurately that it almost takes my breath away. One of the famous things that happened in my life, I saw in 1968, that the Berlin Wall was going to come down. I saw it in the Bible. The two Germanys would be reunited, and that would be the event that would throw us into globalization and the march toward the New World Order. Now, I put all that in a book that I published in 1986. The book was entitled A Message for the President. 3 years later, the wall came down. And within 20 days, Mikhail Gorbachev, President George Herbert Walker Bush, and Pope John Paul II met together, and they came out of that meeting saying, the New World Order has arrived. And immediately we were all told, we've all got to move into globalization. We now live in a global world. What they really were saying was, it's time to set up the one world government. Well, that prophecy came to pass so accurately that my phone rang off the hook. How did you know this? Where is this the Bible? What does this mean? What's going to happen next? Here I am talking to you about another development, and that is this prophecy from Revelation chapter number 13, verse 16 through 18, which states a time will come when every person will be given a mark or a number without which they will be unable to buy or sell. And it's going to work famously. It's going to be very efficient. Many people will love it. However, it will result in horrible abuse because the Bible teaches that the man who ultimately will administer this coming world government is a man by the name of the Antichrist, or the beast, he's called. And he will have a religious partner, the false prophet, and they will believe that in order to avoid war on earth, we must have one world government and one world religious system. Everybody will have to come to an agreement so that we will get rid of all dissent and all conflict. And they're going to enforce their vision by causing every person to pledge allegiance to this one world government and to join some kind of a religion that will say, whatever you believe, you're okay. I respect your religion. You respect mine. We have now what's called religious inclusiveness, because religious exclusiveness, they theorize, is one of the basic roots of all war. Then here's the kicker. The Bible prophesies, and you can read it for yourself, Revelation 13, verse 16 through 18, that if you do not make the Pledge of Allegiance, the Bible calls it worshiping the beast, the Antichrist, and if you do not join up with the one world religious thinking, then your number will be disannulled. It will not be authenticated, and so it won't work. It's like you stick your credit card now into the gas pump, and you get this little message, authentication failed. Well, that's what's going to happen with this. Somewhere at headquarters, when they find out you've not pledged allegiance to the Antichrist and his one world governmental system and to the one world religion, every time you try to use your number, it'll say authentication failed or authentication denied. Now, what I'm telling you, this is in the Bible, but it was written 2,000 years ago before nobody had heard of a computer. Nobody could possibly envision a cashless society, but here we are. Here we are in 2018, and it's way too plausible, and it's way too real. So what I'm telling you, I'm just using one example. I could bring up 1,000 articles explaining what's going on. I just learned recently that 80% of all commercial payments in the United States of America by the American consumer, all of those payments last year was made, 80% of them were made digitally, cashless, even here in America. Now, we're very blessed and fortunate here in America. The Bible teaches America is not going to be a part of the one world government, and that means we're not going to be a part of the Antichrist program called the Mark of the Beast. That's my opinion. I believe I can prove that scripturally, so we're very blessed. But that's not true for most of the world. Most of the world is going to be under this control. And so America is going to have a real responsibility to save the people that will fall under the iron heel of the Antichrist from his administration and from this dreaded thing called the mark of the beast. So you need to talk to your friends, your neighbors. All of us need to understand this because it's coming right down the pike at us, and the World Bank says, this is our answer. This is what we need. And the World Bank controls very much of the world economy. So what we're looking at here is a detailed fulfillment of Bible prophecy. Now, let me make sure you understand one thing. This is End Time Ministries. This is End of the Age program. I'm not here to tell you that the end time is coming. I'm here to tell you the end time has arrived. You and I are in it right now. The end time is right now. Okay, before I run out of time, I've got to tell you about something so important. And that is that Judy and I will be leading a tour to Israel and to Jordan on April the 26th through May the 11th. And I want you to go with us. Now remember, we're going to Israel, the Holy Land, 12 days there, 3 days in the country of Jordan. And I would remind you that Jordan is the country specifically prophesied in the Bible to never be under the control of the Antichrist. The Bible says in Daniel chapter number 11, verse 41, that the children of Edom, Moab, and Ammon shall escape out of his hand. Edom is southern Jordan, the area called Petra. The Moab Mountains are still called that in central Jordan. And Ammon is Amman, Jordan, the capital of Jordan. You're going to go there. You're going to walk where Moses walked. We'll visit Mount Nebo, where he looked over into the Promised Land. It's going to be wonderful. If you're interested, give us a call. 800 End Time is the number.
If ever people need to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for End Time Magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will really impact your life. End Time has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that End Time Magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and leave them in doctors' offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-363-8463. That's 1-800-END-TIME and get your subscription today.
Turn your scriptures from black and white into color. Experience the footsteps of Jesus. Understand Bible prophecy that is coming to pass right now. Join Irvin and Judy Baxter and the End Time team this spring 2018 for a life-changing trip to Israel and Jordan. Mark your calendar for April 26th through May 11th for this amazing journey. Call 1-800-END-TIME, that's 1-800-363-8463 and press 2, or go to endtime.com/Israel-tour to receive your information today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archives button.
In this segment of the program, we're going to be taking your calls. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today or any other prophecy question, simply dial the number 877-END-TIME. That's 877-363-8463. Now, if you would like to reach our operators, maybe you want to inquire about the details concerning the tour, if you'd like to do that, then that number is 800-END-TIME. Let me tell you a little bit more about the tour. When we go to Israel this time, we don't know what's going to happen, but we do know one thing. This will be our first tour, and I've been there 30 times. This will be our first tour when Jerusalem is recognized by the United States as our capital. Hopefully, we will know by then where the U.S. Embassy is going to be located. And if we can find out between now and then, we will take you by and let you take a look at this. Now, this is so prophetic because the Bible says that the whole world will be against Israel in the end time, but Israel will be protected by the wings of a great eagle. The United States, we are the eagle. And we recently had to use our veto power at the United Nations Security Council because they voted 14-1 to condemn us moving our embassy to Jerusalem. But the one who voted no was the United States, and we're one of the 5 countries that have absolute veto power. So the resolution failed. So here the United States is protecting Israel in this time, just like the Bible says. So we're living through prophecy fulfilling times. Let me just go back memory lane for just a moment while you're dialing. Once again, the number to dial to be on the air with me, 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. But to go back memory lane just a little bit, my phone was ringing off the hook when the heat of the 2016 presidential campaign was in progress. Everybody, of course, said Hillary Clinton was going to win by a landslide. And so everybody was asking me, who's going to win? I told them very openly, I don't know the answer to that. But I can tell you what's going to happen in the future. Hillary Clinton is promising to continue the policies of Barack Obama, and he was moving us into global governance because he's a big believer in running the world multilaterally. He's not a believer in sovereignty. He believes all the nations should act in concert under the authority of the United Nations. And Hillary Clinton said, I will continue the policies of Barack Obama. But this political upstart, Donald Trump, said, I will not continue the policies of Barack Obama. I will reestablish our borders. I will reassert U.S. sovereignty. We do not want to be a part of one world government. We don't want to be a part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a world economic union. We don't want to be a part of the Paris Climate Change Accord, which obligates us to ship trillions of dollars out to other countries. It's a massive wealth redistribution scheme. And so he said that. So when people call me, knowing that the Bible prophesies that America will not be a part of the one world government, but that we will defend Israel against the one world government in the end time, I told everyone, look, I don't know who's going to win the presidency, but if Hillary Clinton wins, somebody else is going to come along like Donald Trump that will reverse all these policies and bring us back to national independence. But after 8 years of Hillary Clinton, I'm not sure we'll ever get back. So I suspect Donald Trump is going to win this election and he's going to reassert American sovereignty. Well, most people thought it was going to go the other way, but it turned out that I was correct on that. And in fact, he did win, shocking the whole world, frankly. And what has he done? He has brought us back to American sovereignty, and he has proved to be the best friend that Israel's ever had in the White House. So everything I saw, it wasn't because I was smart, it's because I saw in the prophecies of the Bible what was going to happen. So it's so incredibly interesting when you look at world affairs through the eyes of Bible prophecy. You can know what's coming. I mean, I can sit here and talk all day about what's coming next. We're moving toward a peace agreement. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at an article right now. This comes from the Jerusalem Post just yesterday. Abbas confirms Palestinians being offered Abu Dis as capital of future state. Now, Abu Dis is just a little part of East Jerusalem. I've been there. They built a headquarters for the Palestinian Authority many years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, because they thought at that time that might be the capital of the Palestinians. Well, now then, the Palestinians have built up momentum saying we're going to get all of East Jerusalem, but they're not going to. So anyway, this article appears from the Jerusalem Post. Here's a little bit of what it says. The Palestinians are being offered Abu Dis as the capital of a future Palestinian state. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said on Sunday. Then he went on to say Abu Dis is a Palestinian town on the outskirts of Jerusalem where Al-Quds University, one of the largest Palestinian universities, is located. Abbas's comments came during a speech he delivered to a meeting of the Palestinian Central Council, the Palestine Liberation Organization's second highest decision-making body. What would you want if Jerusalem were to be lost? Would you want to make a state with Abu Dis as its capital? Abbas stated rhetorically. That's what they are offering us now. They're offering us Abu Dis. Okay, now, what's the point? Apparently, at least part of Trump's plan has been leaked to Mahmoud Abbas. Now, let's make sure we all know where we are. So for the last 11 months, Jared Kushner, the son-in-law to President Trump, and Jason Greenblatt, his lawyer for the last 20 years, his two most trusted aides, he put them in charge of the effort to bring together a peace deal in the Middle East. Well, they've been working for 11 months vigorously. And to show you how much they've been working, the first 7 months alone, they met with Mahmoud Abbas, they're the Palestinians, 20 times. That's an average of 3 times per month. So they have been working intensely, not only with Mahmoud Abbas, but with Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. They met with King Abdullah of Jordan. They met with Deputy Prince Salman of Saudi Arabia. They have met with the United Arab Emirates. They've met with Al-Sisi of Egypt. All these players trying to put together the vision of this peace deal. Well, after they had talked and talked and talked, around September the 1st, Mahmoud Abbas said to the Trump administration, look, we've told you everything. You know everything where we stand. You know everything where Israel stands. Now we want you to tell us where America stands. We want to see the American plan so that both the Palestinians and the Israelis can either accept it or reject it. Donald Trump said, give me 3 to 4 months. I'll present the plan. That was September the 1st. So September, October, November. So the plan should be just about done. Now we've had December, and here we are in the middle of January. So it appears the plan is pretty well finished. And I don't know, I don't have any inside information, but it looks like Abbas has maybe even seen a copy of the plan. Or perhaps Jason Greenblatt, which I can't figure out where he is right now. I know he went to Israel over Christmas. But whether he's still in the Middle East working quietly behind the scenes, whether he has secretly met with Mahmoud Abbas, I can't tell you. All I know is that something is going on because Mahmoud Abbas says they're offering us Abu Dis as our capital. Now, whether that is true, whether he has the information or not, I do not know. Now, the PA president did not identify who specifically is offering Abu Dis as the capital of a future Palestinian state. However, a number of reports over the past several weeks, anonymously quoting Palestinian and Lebanese officials, have said that a forthcoming U.S. peace plan includes Abu Dis as the capital of a future Palestinian state. So they would be, Abu Dis is just over the top of the Mount of Olives. So they would be very near the Temple Mount. And apparently there would be an arrangement made where they could, all the Arabs could come through Abu Dis and visit the Temple Mount so that they could pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque and they could pray at the Dome of the Rock. Now, again, I don't have the private information that that's what's going on. But as one who's followed this for 50 years, I'm reading between the lines because I have been to Abu Dis and I do understand the geography of that entire part of Jerusalem. And Abu Dis, I believe, is just outside the separation wall. that Israel built under Ariel Sharon in order to keep terrorists from coming in and attacking Israel. So what we're seeing here, France, Great Britain have said to President Trump, go ahead and present your plan. We know the Palestinians are upset because you have announced that you recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and you've also announced that you're going to move your embassy there, and consequently other nations are now starting to announce they're going to do it as well. So it's like the dam is broken. But at the same time, you claim you've got a plan that the Palestinians are going to like very well. Go ahead and offer the plan, and let's just see if everything can be worked out. Now, I don't know whether the plan is going to be offered because Mahmoud Abbas said, we're not even going to look at your plan. We're not interested in your plan. You have lost all credibility as an arbiter between us and the Israelis because you're obviously partial toward the Israelis. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't say. All I know is that he said we're going to move our embassy to Jerusalem because he feels like that had to be done to break the logjam in the negotiations because the one unnegotiable point was Jerusalem. And since Israel's capital has been Jerusalem for the last 3,000 years and it's never been the capital of the Palestinians, it really wasn't that hard of a call. It's obvious. That should be the capital of Jerusalem, of Israel. And they already have their Knesset building there. It's been there ever since they declared independence. That's where the prime minister lives. That's where all the state buildings are. That's where the Supreme Court meets. It's the capital. Everybody knows it's the capital. To try to say it's not is like playing the game of the emperor's new clothes. It's just the capital. That's all there is to it. Everybody knows it, but everybody is play acting. They all put their embassies down at Tel Aviv, and every time they want to deal with the Israeli government, they get in their cars, drive 45 minutes to an hour to Jerusalem so that they can meet with the government of Israel. So Trump says, I'm done playing games. I'm not a game player. I'm a businessman. And so we are going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital. Now, the final borders of Jerusalem, that'll be in the negotiation. But we're moving our embassy to Jerusalem, and I'm sure it's going to be in West Jerusalem, which Israel is in total control of anyway. So that's part of what's happening now. Once again, we're taking your calls. In our last segment, 877-End Time is the number to call to inquire about our tour to Israel and Jordan. That number's 800-End Time. Just ask to speak to someone about the tour. They'll explain the whole thing to you. You're listening to End of the Age, and it is the end of the age. We're almost there.
The nation of Israel, God's chosen place from the beginning of time. It's no coincidence that strife, conflict, and rumors of war follow it every day. We believe America's destiny is to aid the nation of Israel and Jewish people around the world. This is something we're passionate about. End Time Ministries is partnering with the Jewish Agency for Israel and outreach to assist Jews to find their way home. Your gift will greatly impact America's God-given destiny to join with the Jews so they also can have full understanding of Bible prophecy and what is just ahead. Become a partner today. If you are unable to donate financially, please continue to pray for America's direction on helping Israel and its calling to assist God's chosen nation. The Bible predicts there is another Jewish Holocaust just ahead. Persecution against the Jews will take place. Help today by donating any amount to save the Jews by calling 1-800-END-TIME or go to endtime.com right now.
Okay, we are going to the phones, and we're going to Connecticut. Francine is calling from Connecticut. Hello, Francine.
Hi, Pastor Irvin Baxter. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much.
I wanted to say something first. I wanted to say that I've been listening to you for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, and I feel that I've been truly blessed with all the prophecies that you have shared with me. And just watching the Bible come alive with Revelation has just been amazing. So I just wanted to thank you and your family, and that also I do pray over you and your family as well, because I want you guys to be successful with your ministry. And I think what you're offering to Israel And just to all of us here in the U.S., it has been amazing, and it has been a blessing. So thank you.
I appreciate it very much, Francine.
The other comment that I wanted to make is in regard to President Trump. I'm very happy that he recognized Jerusalem, but I do have reservations about him, and in light of the things that he said last week. I just think as Christians, we just need to be careful with over-endorsing him. He does do a lot of good things, but he does say a lot of hurtful things that has caused the country to be very divisive. And I think sometimes if we're too much, we come off as too much of endorsing him, we might scare people who may want to convert to Christianity, and they may say, well, if this is what Christianity is all about, then maybe I don't want to be part of it. So I just think we as Christians need to just focus more on the Bible and not focus so much on endorsing President Trump or making him feel that everything he does, he's protected by the Christian community.
Well, Francine, I think you're right. And, of course, there are many things that he has done that is fulfilling Bible prophecy, and that those things are in line with God's will. You know, God said, I will put my name in Jerusalem, and if he's going to put his name there, why should the United States not put its name there? So that is right, and that is in line. But as far as President Trump and endorsing everything he does, and I certainly cannot endorse everything he says, but I do believe that God is using him, whether he's even a Christian or not. I mean, I think he needs a good pastor to teach him how to speak and how to get rid of his profanity, because I don't believe Christians can talk that way. So consequently, I would not defend those things in any way. You know, the King Cyrus in the Old Testament, he was a heathen king, but yet God used him to give the order to build the temple back after the first temple had been destroyed. And I sort of look at President Trump in that way. I don't even know whether he knows some of the things he's doing are biblical or not, or whether he's just doing what he thinks he should do, whether God is just manipulating him. Whatever the case may be, I'm very glad for most of the things he has been doing, but I sure wish he would clean up his language.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I agree with you. He has done a lot of great things, and some of the things are biblical, but a lot of the things some of the things that he also does has been hurtful, and you know, just speaking to different people from different walks of life, whether they're Republican or Democrats, Christians or non-Christians, just hearing the feedback from everyone. Sometimes they get a little nervous of us because they feel like we're just following him blindly. So
yeah, and that's certainly, we should not follow him blindly. But I do pray for him. I try to pray for him every day, because so much is at stake right now. I do believe God put him in there. Because if Hillary Clinton would have gotten in, we would be moving at double speed toward a one world governmental system right now, and we would be moving towards the vision of the Antichrist, which we never would want to do. So at the same time, that does not in any way endorse everything that President Trump does, but I do pray for him all the time.
Thank you.
Okay.
I agree with you, and I'll call back another time, but if you could take a look at there's a prime minister from, I think, Nikolay, I forgot how you pronounce his last name, starts with an M, and he's somehow a UN ambassador that's also helping out in the Middle East, and he's roughly about 45 years old. Obviously, we are still trying to figure out who the Antichrist is, and there's no conclusion yet, but I think we should take a look at this person and just see what is he all about, because I just found his name to be interesting, and what he had to say about the Middle East and how he's contradicting President Trump with recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. But I don't want to take up anyone's time, so I just started to notice this over the weekend from watching the Jewish channel, so I want to continue researching and following up on him, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention to just keep an eye out for him to just see how far is he going to go.
Okay, Francine, I appreciate it so very much, and call back anytime. You know, it's going to be really interesting, and prophecy tends to keep us on our toes, because all of us are thinking, okay, where's the 10-nation union coming from? that the Bible says the Antichrist will emerge out of. Who is the Antichrist? Who's the false prophet? There's so many things. Who's going to finally negotiate the Middle East peace? Will it be Trump? Will it be Putin? Will it be someone else? All those questions we will know, but we don't know today. So prophecy is just marvelous because we can see God's hand at work in our world. But sometimes we don't know everything. We know what's coming, but we don't know who's going to actually do it or how it's actually going to happen. And that just adds so much interest to life. Let's go now to Darren calling from Indiana. Hello, Darren.
Good afternoon, Brother Baxter.
Good afternoon.
As you may know, there's a big movement now concerning flat Earth. I was wondering what your opinion is biblically of the story of creation of the Earth, and if the Earth is actually, it's a geocentric, where the Earth is the center of the universe, as opposed to the heliocentric sun being the center of our solar system. Originally laughed at flat Earth theory, wanted to go to the ultimate source, which is the Bible and God's Word, and I've yet to come to a solid conclusion about this, and I was wondering if you could help me with your opinion on this.
Well, I'll do my best. A couple of things, and I'm not an expert in this area. However, the Bible does say God sits on the circle of the earth. And then a non-biblical source, they tell the story that Christopher Columbus concluded that the earth had to be round because he would sit on the shore of the ocean and watch the ships come in. Of course, in those days, most all the ships had big, high sails. And at first, he would just see the tips of the sails. And then as the boat approached, he would see a third of the sail, then half of the sail, then finally the entire ship would come to view. And so he concluded that the earth was round. And that's the reason for that. And then, of course, back in those days, most people believed the earth was flat, and then if you sail far enough, you would drop off. However, if you get in a jet airplane, you can fly all the way around the world, or you can sail all the way around the world. So if the earth were flat, I don't suppose you could go around it. You'd have to drop off it somewhere. I don't believe in the flat earth theory, if I understand what you're saying there, Darren. And like I said, I've pretty well disregarded it out of hand because I think it makes no sense. But I have not read a lot about it. But those are just some of my initial thoughts, that since you can fly around the world or sail around the world today, I don't see any way that the earth can be flat. That's my opinion.
Well, I thank you very much, sir. I respect your opinion.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Darren. We appreciate it. And let's go now to Royce. Royce is a Facebook viewer, and he wants to know, what are the 3 ribs in the bear's mouth? I'm not sure. There are 2 possibilities in my mind. The 3 countries, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, the Baltic nations, were held in the jaws of the Russian bear for 50 years after World War II. That could be the 3 ribs. On the other hand, Russia took away 3 huge chunks of land from China in the latter part of the 19th century. That was Manchuria, Mongolia, and Xinjiang. And China still believes that they were taken illegally, which of course they were. So that could be the 3 ribs. I just do not claim to know for sure the answer to that. I know for positive that the bear is the symbol of Russia, but to be sure about the 3 ribs, I'm not. I'm sorry, I can't answer more conclusively, but thank you anyway for asking, Royce. Maybe we'll have an absolute answer one of these days. Okay, let's now go to Jim from Indiana. Hello, Jim.
Yeah, I was reading that Isaac's sons became known as the Saxons, and Britain and America is called the Anglo-Saxons. And I was wondering if you knew what happened to the lost 10 tribes of Israel, or have any ideas on it.
Well, you know that the 10 tribes were carried away by the Syrians somewhere around 721 BC. They were carried away because they went into such iniquity, and they were scattered throughout the world, and the world lost track of them. Then the 2 tribes that stayed with Judah remained in the area of Judah in Jerusalem, and then they were carried away to Babylon. The first wave was carried away about 606 BC, and the second wave was carried away when the city of Jerusalem was destroyed and the first temple was destroyed in 586 BC. They then went into captivity in Babylon for about 70 years. The prophet Jeremiah preached they would be gone 70 years, and then King Cyrus made the decree they could return and build their second temple, which they did, and then Judah continued to occupy the land of Israel all the way up to the time of Jesus Christ until they were driven out by the Romans in 70 AD. So that's the history. Now, here's all I can tell you. The Bible teaches, and I think this is in the book of Zechariah, the Lord said, I took 2 sticks. One stick was called beauty and one was called bands. And I broke the stick and brought them together to make one stick. And it says in the end times, there will no longer be Israel and Judah, but there will only be one nation, not 2. There was 2 nations from the time of Solomon's death, because the tribes split at that time, until today. But the Bible teaches in the end time he's going to gather them again. The Jews who live in Israel cannot tell you which tribe they're from, many of them. Some of them can. Some of them's names are like Cohen. The Cohens are the descendants of the priestly tribe. And if you see, if you go into a big city and open up a phone book and look under Cohen, you'll see a big list of names, because all those people know they are descendants from the priestly tribes. So, Jim, I cannot totally answer your question. I've not tried to do an in-depth study of this, but I do know they're all going to be represented in Jerusalem in the end time, because in Revelation 7, God's going to seal in Jerusalem 12,000 out of each tribe. So all the tribes will be represented, and that leads me to believe they're probably already represented there right now. And Jim, I've got to go because I've run over time. Thank you very much for your question today. And one more time, let me remind you, the date is getting close. We got to leave for Israel. If you're interested in going, don't procrastinate. If you need information about it, call us right now, 800-END-TIME. Ask about the tour, and they'll give you the right person to talk to. I would love for you to go with Judy and myself. It's going to be great. 800-END-TIME is the number to call.
End of the Age is a production of End Time Ministries. This broadcast will be available on our website, endtime.com, in the archives section. On our website, you'll also find more information about how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. To reach our operators, call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. End Time Ministries is partner supported. We would like to say thank you to our partners who made this broadcast possible. To do what Matthew 24:14 said, to reach the world with the gospel of the kingdom.